And when that person had it misunderstood, you get this: distortions, alterations, and perversions, some little, some huge, but every one of them a hang-up for the reader. And that's why I said you could look up every single word in one of these books and still not get it, because when you track it out across the entire LRH library, you get such alterations as entirely missing chapters, total garbles, parts of the text specifically said to be deleted by LRH, but left in anyway, causing complete mystery, transcription errors whereby LRH dictates a sentence and then replaces it with another, but the transcriptionist was too lazy to go back and correct it, leaving both sentences in the book. And if that's not enough, take your garden variety transcription error where the typist isn't sure whether they should punctuate with a period, colon, or a comma, and in almost every instance deciding to go with a happy medium and using a semicolon. A total maybe, and resulting in sentences, indeed paragraphs, where you don't know where the sentence begins or ends. Now let's add an editor who, instead of now correcting it, decides to add his own clarifying footnotes to explain what LRH really meant. Or through sloppiness, misplacing pages, and Lord knows what else, mixes up the chapters so some are not only in the wrong sequence, but entire chapters appear in the middle of another chapter. And that's just the beginning of the list, which explains why you'll even have sometimes found LRH saying, "See later text," and yet the text never appears. Or he refers to a process with the statement, "as described earlier," yet which never really did appear earlier. And if you don't remember any of these examples from the books, that only makes my point: you went totally blank. And if that's a sampling, I assure you it's not even the half of it. Then again, you can be just as certain that I wouldn't be standing here telling you this unless each and every alteration, and I do mean every distortion, perversion, and alteration, has now been corrected. But if that's good enough news so far, then let's punctuate it with an exclamation. Because assume you will be able to read all the books exactly as they were intended, in their pure form and with an ease that you're unlikely to have experienced in reading any book, Scientology or otherwise. Yes, that clear, that easy. Now, even with that under your belt, is there anything that could make it even better? Well, what if I told you that LRH delivered entire lecture series on the very subject of those books, lectures immediately after authoring them, lectures that have never seen the light of day and which bring whole new meaning to the phrase total conceptual understanding? Yes, that too, all of it. You can have it all. Ladies and gentlemen, I present you the basics. So there you have the basics, Dianetics to Scientology, and the very foundation of the subjects complete. And just in case you missed it, we are not speaking of corrected manuscripts, not newly verified manuscripts, and definitely not just repackaged. What we are speaking of is a 100% unadulterated source. Furthermore, we are not merely speaking of books, but when you add the lectures that have never been available, the 100% recovery of source on every technological advance, from discovery of engrams and the reactive mind, to operating Thetan, to the breakthroughs and principles applied in every auditing session today at every level of the bridge. Indeed, combine it all and it lays out like this. I could walk off this stage in the next 30 seconds after simply telling you to read and listen in sequence, and I would know that you would fly. In fact, I'd know if you did just that, read and listened in sequence, by the end of your study, you know the basics of Dianetics and Scientology better than any Dianeticist or Scientologist from 1950 right up to the present time. So.